This is a really interesting set of models in liveries that you didn't know that you needed to have. A big hello to you, so great to see you, and I hope you are well. I'm Jenny Kirk, welcoming you up here to Weir Yard, where we're going to be taking a look at the latest release of GT3 models that have come through from KR Models. Now, the GT3 was the first product that they released to market, and it's proven to be something of a sleeper hit. And despite the naysayers, it's gone on to sell out every production run that they've brought to market. So by popular demand, they've done a third run of these. Now, they have said that this is probably going to be the last for quite some time. So if you've been umming and ahhing and you really want a GT3, this is the best time to get it. Otherwise, you might be waiting quite a long time. The models do command high prices second-hand when they do come up, which shows that there is still quite a good demand. And building on the previous release where they did a surprise What If livery in Rail Blue, they brought out 3 more in LMS Black, BR Black and BR Green, and it's 2 of these that they've sent over to the channel for us to have a good close look at. And I must admit that I do quite like What If liveries. I'm not a slave to prototype, and I suspect that an awful lot of you guys aren't either. Now, it's fine if you are. They've got the brown GT3, perfect for you, but for the rest of us, it's kind of nice sometimes to apply what can be a familiar livery to an unfamiliar locomotive, and that is exactly what they've done. So come with me in association with Trainomatic, makers of DCT decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Find the full range available to order now at tramfabrique.co.uk. Additional support comes from...
This is Clark Railworks, and this is what we do. You'll know us from Ellis Clark Trains, and you'll get the same friendly expertise with us too. We've got a huge range of pre-owned model railways from all your favourite manufacturers, and maybe some you hadn't heard of before. It's the place to come for quality. We don't stock substandard models, and everything we sell is fully tested and photographed by model railway experts. No matter whether you model double O gauge, N, HO or more, we have sought after models from all around the world with new listings added every weekday. Check out what's available now at clarkrailworks.com and don't miss out on your latest loco.
For so long, we've had the manufacturers being drowned out by cries of, oh, you can't do this, that didn't run like that, and that's out of era, that's out of region. And so many people, a silent majority perhaps, have been just going, actually, I quite like the idea of a Class 04 shunter in intercity livery. I'd buy one of those. And what these What If liveries may be proving is that maybe there is scope for just such these things. And more recently, we have seen some manufacturers dabble in this, with the Class 35 in Dutch from Hellion, albeit the preserved example did run in that livery in preservation, but they also did a Class 17 in rail freight livery. And Rapido Trains more recently released the N-Gauge Class 28 in RTC, and very smart it looks. But for me, it goes right back 20 years, when I can remember being a regular visitor to the sadly departed Farnworth Model Centre, and I can remember in his display cabinet he had a second-hand Lima Class 52 that had been very expertly repainted into First Great Western fag packet livery, complete with a 52 XXX tops number. And I remember thinking, gosh, that looks really smart. I do wish that manufacturers might consider doing stuff like that. And here we are with KR Models releasing not 1, not 2, but 3 of these What If liveries. And we've got 2 of them today. So come with me and let's take a closer look. When KR Models first announced that they were going to tackle the GT3 as their first ready-to-run model, it may have seemed to a lot of people to be quite a daring proposition, but KR Models didn't shy away from that. It was their niche of these strange prototypical locomotives, and certainly they were not afraid to tackle this, something that's never been tackled ready-to-run before. And contrary to what the naysayers said, it proved to be a very successful model. The full production run sold out, and it went on to pick up 3 different awards in that year, and certainly was a very successful first start for the company. So much so that they then did a second production run to cater for demand. As people were still asking for the models, they were changing hands for quite high prices second hand, so they did another production run. And off the back of almost a jokey comment that took place at one of the shows, where somebody said, have you ever thought about doing one in Rail Blue? They did just that with a limited edition Rail Blue version. Now, I know that the naysayers were poo-pooing the idea of having it in a livery that it never carried in reality, but actually, like with so many of these things, you then find that there's a silent majority of people who go, actually, I quite like that, I want one. And the full production run of the Rail Blue versions also sold out, as well as the extra brown models, thus proving that fictitious liveries are popular enough to be commercially produced, and a great deal of modelers are not slaves to prototype, and they actually do quite like the idea of, you know, having fun, running what they want on their often fictitious home layouts. So off the back of the success of that, we've started to see some other manufacturers, like Rapido with their Class 28 Metrovic in RTC livery, actually take on the idea of doing what-if liveries. And as the third production run was announced for the GT3, to partially cater for extra demand for the original version that was still there, they announced 3 what-if liveries on top of that, all 3 of these being produced as a limited edition. So you can now get more of the original prototypical brown, but on top of that, there are 3 new liveries. And KR Models very kindly loaned the channel 2 of these for us to take a look at. Now, we did already review the brown version and the blue version in previous videos, so I'm not going to dwell too much on the technicalities of the model, but first up is this, which is the LMS livery version, and they sent over the DCC Ready example. It comes in the same style box, and what I like about this is that we also get, if I take the lid off and let's just dive into here, we get a limited edition certificate, which is something that we didn't get with the blue one, although I believe that it was also limited edition. It just didn't champion that fact, but it's nice to get the limited edition certificate. And as far as the number is concerned, these come off the pallet in a random order, so it's not an indication of whereabouts in the selling process they are. And it's just a nice little touch, and we do get all the other paperwork, including the prototype pictures and history, which I do think is very, very nice. We are seeing this from more and more manufacturers, and it is a really great touch for the product. I already have the model out of the box. I couldn't wait, so I have had this on display and running on Weir Yard. And first impressions of it is that we've got this LMS Black, which is akin to wartime and immediate post-Second World War liveries, which is fitting. If the GT3 had been delivered just a little bit earlier, then it stands to reason that this may well have been the livery that it could have worn. And it's not too shiny, but it does have that nice X-Works look to it, which is just like the shiny brown that we had before. I still like the cooler groups at the front. It's some great detail, and then we've got the works plates as well. On the front, there's no yellow warning panels. We just have the head codes on there, and these do light up. Plus, we've got the marker lights front and back for when running in reverse or on the back of the tender going forwards. And I have seen people moaning about this online, and it's something you get about every model from every manufacturer. There's always somebody having a moan. But the truth is, and I've seen KR Models react to this, that actually Modelers expect their locomotives to have a red tail light, so it's a feature that they've added. And if you don't want them, you can turn them off. So we've also got the cab interior in there, and unlike the brown version, which had a red cab light, this actually features a white cab light. Then we've got pickup from all 6 of the driving wheels, plus pickup from the 6 tender wheels, and then we've got that articulated coupling in between, and then a sprung front pony truck as well. And unlike the very first production run of the GT3s, where for some reason the bogies had a little bit of detail put on the wrong way round, these do have the guard irons correctly at the front, and then a coupling in a NEM pocket, slimline tension locks front and back. These can be removed or changed as you would wish. The rest of the livery application is understated, just as per the LMS Black prototypes would have been, but the lining is straight and true, and that is quite nice there. We've got the grey and the red, which is certainly the livery scheme that British Rail later adopted for the Freight Black locomotives as well. Although we've got the LMS monikers on the tender, and these are finished in the gold colour. One other thing which I haven't seen any of the usual suspects complaining about, which struck me as quite odd that they would argue about placement of rivets and then miss something as glaring as an overhead warning flash. If this is aimed for the LMS period, it shouldn't actually have those, but it is fictitious, so I do feel a bit silly arguing about a fictitious livery, and anyway, I do really quite like it. And also those fuel gauges on the side there, really quite exquisitely done. So I'm going to put that LMS one to one side, and then we're going to take a look at the BR green version. There is also a BR black early crest, but I don't have that one available. But this one is the DCC sound in BR green. All of the different versions are being offered in either sound or DCC ready. Again, we get a certificate inside the box with these. The locomotive of the particular model that you've got is correctly indicated on the certificate. And again, as I said, the numbers are coming off the pallet randomly. So I've got here 0051, but it's also limited to 250 models. When it comes to the green, I have to say that this is my favourite fictitious livery. It's a shame that they've still retained the GT3 side etched plates, because in my mind, I think if these had been absorbed into BR stock, they would have got a BR number, just like the Class 53s eventually did. And it's not really a big criticism. Again, we're arguing about a fictitious livery, but it does look beautiful in this BR Brunswick green. We've correctly got the BR late crest on the tender, and the overhead warning flashes are correct for this livery. And then we've got this subtle orange cantrail stripe, and that lining actually goes and then does the loop of the cooler group. And it's really well thought out. It's like, how would BR have lined out this locomotive? And it's understated, but actually a really beautiful livery. Again, the cab light is white on this version. We've got those gauges. I do think that is an exquisite touch. You can even see the needles and the markings on that. And it's a really, really quite sharp crest. We've got a yellow door on the back, but the rest is green. And then on the front, we've kind of got that small warning panel just in the centre. And this is very reminiscent of the Rail Blue version, which again had that yellow just in the middle. I'm not entirely sure that that's how BR would have gone with this, with a small yellow panel, or indeed would this locomotive have at all got a yellow warning panel, given how loud it was. I don't think it would have been a high priority to have got the warning panels. I think people could apparently hear this thing coming several miles in advance. It was not quiet in the slightest. The steps on this are picked out in black, and we've got that full black below the sole bar of the locomotive. Again, really nicely finished. Pickups from the 6 driving wheels and the 6 tender wheels. And for me, this is the standout one. If there's one livery that you should make sure you order before it sells out, for me, it is this one. And it is... I just love the green. The BR Black one, though, I have seen. It's been shown on Iron Horse Railways, his YouTube channel, if you want to take a look at that. He does have a video looking at that, and it very much won him over, and when he showed it to me, I was incredibly impressed as well. In person, that BR Black really is nice. The photos online just don't do it justice. But I'm still saying that it's pipped by the BR Green. This, for me, is a really great livery, and certainly it's the one that turned my head when I first saw the livery renders of these, and in person, it is still my favourite. Now, I'm going to discuss DCC fitting on this, because this is, well, it did come as a DCC ready model, and DCC fitting on these is incredibly easy. You just grab the tender body and click it off, no screwdriver needed, and on the inside I've already fitted this with the Trainomatic 21-pin decoder. On the headers there you'll find a blanking plate on the DCC ready versions, just lever that off carefully and replace with your 21-pin decoder, and the Trainomatic 21-pin operates all of the different lighting functions. These models do come factory fitted with a speaker, and if you want to put any other sound file in that you wish, you can do that, and it will just use that factory speaker. Once you've got that fitted, make sure that you've got the tender the right way round. The corridor connector goes on the back, and then this just hooks in, snuggles down, put it in one side, and then click back on the other, and you're good to go. On the track, the locomotives perform faultlessly, as you would expect, just as the previous release versions of these did. The hauling power is not quite as good as the twin bogie drive diesels that we've come to love on our layouts, but certainly they can handle trains of up to 7 or so coaches around Weir Yard without any great difficulty, although if you start to add extra coaches they do suffer a little bit from wheel spin. The sound decoder is certainly an interesting option for anybody who's into DCC sound. I would recommend trying at least one locomotive with this in. It's very different from any other locomotives that are out there, and very unlike any diesel, electric or steam installations that you might have. I think I mentioned in the original review video that it reminded me somewhat of something like a Learjet taxiing on the runway, and it's a very unique sound, and certainly one that has been very well realised on this Locksound V5 sound installation, and the speaker does do it a lot of justice. With the plain DCC fitting on this, I was actually able to get a lot more control over the lighting, which did surprise me, as on the Locksound 5 install you did seem to be a little bit limited. The cab light is easily accessible on them all, as is the reversing directional lights, although with a standard DCC fitting you can also get rid of those front red marker lights when it's going in reverse if you choose. That is a separately addressable function. All in all, this is a really interesting set of models in liveries that you didn't know that you needed to have. And certainly the GT3 has gone from strength to strength, being a flagship model in the KR models range, and certainly sweeping the board of the awards in its first year. It is still in high demand. We've got a link in the description box down below to take you to Rails of Sheffield, where you can pick up all of the different livery options that are currently available. But do hurry, because like the previous production runs, they're sure to sell out really quickly. And second-hand, these GT3s are still commanding a really quite healthy price. So it shows that there is a great deal of demand out there for them. I hope you've really enjoyed today's video and found it informative, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments section down below. Just what do you think about what-if liveries, both on these GT3 models, but in general? Are there any others that you really would love to see? And certainly in recent years, we've seen the full-size railway maybe replicate this in some degree, when a Class 66 received large logo BR livery, even though they were introduced to Britain's railways after privatisation. We've even seen a Class 50 being turned out in intercity livery, and I really do like that livery, even though they never carried this in traffic. And, as I mentioned in the introduction, a Class 35 in Dutch. Well, it's been done, 35017, and Hellion did a model of that. But are there any others that you would really love to see? Maybe you'd like to see somebody like Dapol or Hellion tackle that Class 52 in First Great Western fag packet livery. I suppose if enough of us ask them, if enough people actually comment down below, maybe they will take notice. For me, I'm quite easy on this. I just like stuff with tops numbers. So, Rapido, if you're listening, your forthcoming Class 04 diesel shunter, really want the one that's running preservation with a tops number on the side. And maybe do one in Network Southeast so it can be a partner to 03179. And there's lots of other things too. Class 08 shunters, I believe, never ran in regional railways livery, but maybe in model form they could. Or maybe you'd want a HST in LMS Maroon, perhaps. Could it be done? Well, if enough people want it, what KR Models, Hellion and Rapido have shown is that, well, if it's commercially viable, they will make them, and these models will sell out. So I'd love to hear from you down below about your suggestions and your thoughts on this subject. Don't forget that you can also head on over to Patreon and help support the channel to keep making the videos that you want to see. We've got a link down below, and you can also check out the full merch store, as well as that Monday Club wagon, which is available at the link down below to buy with confidence via Rails of Sheffield. And we've also got an affiliate link to them for any of the KR Models GT3s that you've seen today in this video. And until next time, it's just got time for me to say, please like, share and subscribe. And until next time, take great care of yourself. Happy modelling. Bye for now. Today's video comes in association with Trainomatic, makers of DCT decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Find the full range available to order now at tramfabrique.co.uk. Additional support is provided by...
This is Clark Railworks, and this is what we do. You'll know us from Ellis Clark Trains, and you'll get the same friendly expertise with us too. We've got a huge range of pre-owned model railways from all your favourite manufacturers, and maybe some you hadn't heard of before. It's the place to come for quality. We don't stock substandard models, and everything we sell is fully tested and photographed by model railway experts. No matter whether you model 00 gauge, N, HO or more, we have sought after models from all around the world with new listings added every weekday. Check out what's available now at clarkrailworks.com and don't miss out on your latest loco.
I'd like to thank everybody over on Patreon, and an extra special huge thanks goes out to our Patreon heroes. Without you guys over on Patreon, we really wouldn't be able to keep making the video content that you see on this channel. And don't forget that you can also head on over to patreon.com/JenniferKirk and check out the different tiers of rewards. Thank you so much. You are absolute legends.